1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to Mission CTRL, Peralta Design's podcast on all things branding and digital marketing. Since 2008, Peralta Design has launched hundreds of brands with award-winning identities and websites. Join our hosts Ramon and Jorge as they use decades of combined experience to tackle topics with past clients, industry partners, and the rest of the PD crew. At Peralta Design, we launch brands. But for now, let's launch right into this episode of Mission CTRL.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mission CTRL, Peralta Design's official podcast for everything branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and where we respect the grind, we reclaim the American dream. I am your host, Ramon Peralta from Peralta Design, where we launch brands. Please join me in welcoming a very special guest, a celebrity in my book, someone who is living his dream. Please welcome the Mike Massimino.
Hello, Raymond.
Hey, it's Ramon, by the way.
In my book, Raymond, you're the
yeah,
more
exactly.
famous than me, man.
No. You are the man. You are the man, and we're going to talk about it. Tell us your name, what you do, and why do you do it?
Well, my name is Mike Massimino, and I'm an actor, and I do it because I love it, and I believe that's what I was put on this earth to do. Mm-hmm. And it's, right now, because of what's going on, obviously, I really haven't been doing much, but through the last, probably basically the short of it is the last 20 years, that's what I've been doing. You know, I started 20 years ago. I started in my early 30s, and it's always been something I wanted to do, and I had to do it. I had to give it a shot, and it's starting to pan out. It panned out. By my standards, I'm successful, right? There's different levels to this business, but sure. It was achievable, and I'm a work in progress in this business. As every day, I'm a work in progress in life and in my profession.
Absolutely, no. In acting, in particular, child actors are usually, a lot of our famous, the Christian Bales of the world.
Right.
They start out as kids.
Yes.
Did your parents? Were you the kid that your mom and dad used to say, "Hey, go tell some jokes and this," or did you always look for attention? Were you that kid? And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I have one sister who's the polar opposite of me. Right? She didn't like the attention. So till this day, who I get along with my sister very well. Yeah, and we're friends, but. Till this day, she has the resentment that I got all the attention. But yeah, since I was, when I first watched Superman, I was putting on a red cape towel and jumping off cars and walls. We used to live on the beach in the summers when I was younger, and I would jump off the beach wall in a Superman outfit, always acting out movies, And yeah, I was definitely the class clown in school.
Yeah, I was going to say,
no doubt.
Were you the guy that was sent to the principal's office most of the time, or?
In second grade, Raymond, when I they held me back in Fairfield. I went to Assumption School. We lived in Fairfield. Yeah. In Assumption School, second grade, they held me back. So we moved to Easton, so I started in Easton in second grade. First day of school, I jumped on top of the lunch lady's convertible, and my foot went right through it.
Oh, my God.
That was the first day of school.
Oh, my God.
Hyperactive, ADD, ADHD, the whole deal. Every D in the book. But
and D's on the report card as well.
D's, C's, and D's. Yeah.
Oh,
C's,
man.
D's, maybe a couple of B's if I was lucky. Yeah. Complete attention and deficit disorder. Absolutely.
But the laughs that you must have gave people, helped you get away with some of this stuff?
Absolutely. As soon as I found out I could make people laugh. Yeah. It just was like one of my, it was like a self-realization that, wow, I can make people laugh and they like me for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So I kept doing that. And it's, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's what it was.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that as we've gotten to know each other, we share in common is working with our dads. And I know I used to quit every Friday I'd quit, and then I'd come back to help them on Monday.
Right.
But what was it like working with your dad? Because you were also in the car business.
Well, the difference was my dad fired me every Friday, and then I came back Monday. That's what happened. But basically, what happened was when I graduated high school, college wasn't in the, wasn't in the plan because I knew what I wanted to do. So I went to acting. I took a leap year and I worked with Dad at the used car dealership. Then I took and then I decided I wanted to go to acting school, and I did for a year. I did the whole season, and I was really good. Everything was great, but I just didn't take it serious enough. I was like 19. I thought I was missing out here in Connecticut. You know what I mean? All my friends were still here. A lot of friends were here. Everybody was partying. And I just wasn't ready to take on the serious commitment because it's a huge commitment to act. Part-time actors don't make it. You got to be fully committed.
You got to be all in.
So I did it, and then I didn't. I just stopped doing it, and then I worked in the car business for the next decade. Okay?
Now, when you're selling a used car, there's quite a bit of acting that comes into play there.
Oh, all my characters came from the used car business. All my father's friends, everybody was a character. A lot of polarizing figures, if you will.
Caricatures.
Most of them were. And I took from all of them. When I do my auditions, I take from all of them. And a lot of them have passed. But they left me so much for my artillery in the rooms, in the audition rooms.
Can you give us a character? Can you bust out into one of your characters?
I could give you a guy. His name was Joe Lebo, and Joe used to go like this. I says to the guy like this, right? I go, "What did you say to him, Joe?" He goes, "Well, I says to him like this." I go like this. I go, well, "Tell me what he says." It's different. Well, here's what I said to him. I says to him like this. I go like this. I says like this. I go. And he never gets to it. Never got to it.
Oh, my God.
So I did this for an audition for Saturday Night Live. I did this character along with a bunch of other ones. This is back in 91. And I sent the tape in, and I swear on everything I hold holy, they used this character. Chris Farley got on Saturday Night Live and did the character.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
Wow.
You can see it on YouTube. If you look up Chris Farley, I says to the guy, it's a skit they did with Adam Sandler. Because back then, everybody robs everybody.
Right.
So they must have looked at my tape, and what they do is they're looking for material because they're all brilliant. But we all look for material.
Right.
So he must have liked it. It was an honor.
Yeah.
It was definitely an honor. But they definitely used my stuff.
Yeah.
And my manager at the time had called them to call them out on it. But I didn't copyright it.
No.
I didn't own it. So they could do whatever they want with the tape.
Yeah, and there's probably some waiver somewhere along the lines where if you submit something, it's their property.
Yeah. And I never got called in for it. One of my dreams was to be on SNL. But again, I didn't have the discipline, and I wasn't living it. So I thought I'd just send a tape in. And, they're going to discover me and everything's going to be great. Yeah. That was my mindset at the time.
Yeah.
But until I really started to get into the business and really started to work and put my nose to the grindstone and get out there, I was in the city. Like I was 31 and I decided to be an actor, when I decided to really do it. After I was done playing games, it's commitment, hard work. People think actors don't work. Let me tell you something. Come on down and try it.
What's the hardest part? What is it? Is it memorizing? Like, what's your method? Are you a method actor?
I do a little bit of method. I do a little bit of everything because I've taken many different classes from different teachers. Mm-hmm. You got the Meisner technique, you got the method technique, and then but I get cast as a real person. Mm-hmm. I get cast as me. TV wants me, you know what I mean? So if they want the Italian guy, the cop, the bartender, the construction guy, the mobster especially, right? Mm-hmm. I get typecast, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it one bit.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Now, what other actors have gotten into the game around this time? Or is this because we talk about child actors, but is 31 really that late to become an actor?
I don't think any time is that late to become an actor, as long as you're serious about it and you dedicate yourself to it. Yeah. Because now that I'm older, I'm 48 now. So, you know, character actors, when they're younger, they work. And I've worked a lot, and I've gotten little bit parts, and I've gotten a couple guest star roles on things. But as you get older, you look more experienced in life. You have more life behind you, right. And then you start to work. Like an acting teacher of mine told me when I was 25, I was taking a class at Fairfield University. He said, "Well, you're a character actor." He said, "You're really not going to start working until you're about 60." I said, "Oh, great." But I take Danny Aiello as, you know, he started late 40s. Mm-hmm. Morgan Freeman started late. A lot of people start late. Yeah. And they may, you know, and they get successful. It's a journey, man. It's peaks and valleys.
Yep, it sure is. I mean, you know, for someone that's in your shoes, that's kind of going to their job, but it's not what they want to do. It may not even be acting. It may just be that they're not living in their, you know, as they say, their gift or their purpose. And for you, was there something that happened to you at the dealership that was your aha moment? Like, what was the awakening that made you decide, or was there an opportunity that came up that you just jumped on?
Yeah, I was sitting at the dealership dealing with a customer, and it was just being difficult. And I was just like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not happy. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm constantly going to myself, you know, I should be acting. I should be in New York. I should be doing what I want to do. And it was that simple. You know, I just said, you know, I told my father, I told my boss to where I was at the time, because I'm working up in Danbury, Colonial Ford. Mm-hmm. And I was basically told everybody I'm going to go try to be an actor now. It was that simple. I gave my 2 weeks. I said, I got to try it. If I don't try it, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And what's the first thing you do when you made that decision? Do you call up an agent? Did you go to New York City? Like, what did you do?
First thing I did was I took a class in Manhattan, because I didn't want to just start auditioning and not knowing how to act. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to start it because it's a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. You're constantly, you know, working it out when you're memorizing lines. Mm-hmm. So I had to memorize monologues, and I took monologue classes. I took improv classes. I took acting classes. I took a class wherever I could. And then I got on staff at a place called Scott Power Studios, who had panels. They would hold these things once a month, showcases where agents from New York City would come and watch actors do their stuff. And if they like them, they would call them in to get for representation. So, you know, I was spending a lot of money at the time. So, but if I had gotten on staff to be one of the staff members, I wouldn't have to pay for the showcase. Right. So what I was doing was, I was like, listen, Scott, I'll help you out. I'll set everything up every month. I'll be your go-to guy. I'll take care of the agents. I'll do whatever you want. And he put me on staff. Mm-hmm. And I basically did that for about a year. And this one agent, his name's Barry Kulker, finally said to me, you know what, Mike, every month I take care of Barry. Get him his Tic Tacs, whatever he wanted. Water, you know, lozenges, ice cubes, whatever he needed. I took care of him. And he said, come to my office tomorrow. I want to sign you. I said, oh, great. That sounds fantastic. I'll be there. And I went, and he signed me. He got me an audition for Law & Order and an audition for a movie called We Own the Night. And I read for The Best Friend. You ever see We Own the Night? No. Joaquin Phoenix, Robert Duvall, great cast.
Yeah, I think then I've got to see it. I love those actors, and maybe
Eva Mendes was in it. Yeah, I mean,
love Eva Mendes.
But I had never really gone on an audition for anything that big yet. But I went, I prepared, I did great. I did a great job in the audition. I didn't get it, but they liked me. And when they like you, they give you something else. Right. So I got the cop role. I got a little cop role. And, I'm on screen for maybe a couple of minutes. Mm-hmm. And that was my first movie ever, was We Own the Night. And once that went on my resume, then I booked Law & Order, right? This is my first year. Then I got 2 national commercials. I was on a roll, right? My first year signed with agents. It took me a couple of years to get the agents. And then it just started from there. And then I was training in between, because I'd go on auditions and I would totally suck. And I'd beat myself up. I'd be so pissed. But then I learned.
What happens in an audition that you suck, that you flub the lines or you forget?
You flub the lines, a lot of self-doubt. Depends on what's going on in your life that day. Who knows?
Right, because you gotta have the right energy for this kind of thing. You gotta have the
right mentality. You gotta have the right brain. You gotta have the right energy, the right mentality. You gotta get enough sleep. You gotta take care of yourself, and you have to be mentally prepared. It took me a long time to be able to go into the room and give her. I still have issues with it. It sucks. Yeah. You go into a room, you got a camera, you got these strangers looking at you. This intimidating casting director who's casted, great films. They all have their reputations, and you want to impress them, even if you don't get the role. Okay, you want to impress them. They'll say Mike did great, but he's not right for this. We'll call him in for something else.
Right.
You want to leave an impression. So what you want to do is go in the room and look at it as a performance. That's what I learned from Al Pacino. Al Pacino did that. He said, go in the room. Don't think about getting the role. Go in the room and give him a performance.
That's a great advice. And he's one of my
Don't
favorites.
even think about getting the role. Just go.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the crying thing? I mean, is that a skill that actors? There are some actors that I feel like can just make themselves cry on the spot. Other actors, you think they're putting eye drops in, but like Sterling K. Brown, I think from This Is Us. He's one of these actors, a TV actor. He's been in some movies, but he's one of these guys where I feel like he can make himself cry like instantly. Is that something that you learn? Is that innate? What is that?
That's you have to go very deep and make yourself vulnerable to the world. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're able to do that, mm-hmm. and it's got a lot to do with self-work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's got a lot to do with finding out who you are. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's got a lot to do with presenting your good parts and your bad parts to the world. Mm-hmm. Okay, showing vulnerability, which was very difficult for me mm-hmm. for a long time until I did my self-work. Mm-hmm. In life too.
Right.
If I have a role, which is very rare that I have to cry. Every now and then it comes up. Mm-hmm. I have to go to a very dark place to get to where I need to be.
That's what I was about to say. I once was in this meeting where there was a woman who she demonstrated a technique where she had these 2 gentlemen come to the front of the room, and she thought of something very, very dark in her life, and they tried to lift her, and she was hard to lift, and she wasn't very big. She was like 5 feet tall.
Right.
And then she said, okay, give me a minute. And then she thought of something really positive. And these guys were able to lift her up, no problem. It was quite amazing to see. Yeah. But it does speak to that, how your thoughts affect you physically, and how I think we underestimate what actors are really doing during their performances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you watched Ozark. Did you watch Ozark?
I did. That I love. Yeah, I've watched all the seasons.
Now, forgive me, but I forgot the actor's name. The guy who played the brother who was manic depressive.
Yes,
he played the manic depressive.
But they
brother.
put him. Well, spoiler alert! But they put him into the incinerator. That guy.
Well, you spoiled it. I didn't. You spoiled that, Raymond. So just for your listeners, Raymond did that, guys, not me. If you start to watch Ozark, that's the #1 rule, Raymond. You should never do that, but that's okay.
I'll edit it.
You can cut that out.
I'm gonna cut it out. Exactly.
Right. But what an amazing actor. Yeah, when you can watch an actor that makes you feel for him. I felt for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He made me, like I literally almost cried watching him do that.
Yeah.
And when you could get to those depths, and that actor could really did it
in a short amount of time, because he was only on for a few episodes, but he made such an impact.
Right. But how about the emotional roller coaster he took you on?
Oh yeah.
He was exciting. He was sad.
He was in love.
He showed empathy. He was vicious. He was ferocious. Then he was the most kind, most loving character you loved him. You didn't even hate him.
Yeah.
You couldn't hate him. No matter what he did, you loved him. And that's a great actor right there.
Yeah. I always find actors that I hate, like Commodus, Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator, like when you have a disdain for a character, that's how I know an actor is just doing a tremendous job. Incredible
Joaquin
stuff.
Phoenix is like beyond. He's beyond.
Yeah.
He's a titan.
Yeah. Joker, it was incredible. Incredible.
I loved it. Some people didn't. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I loved it too. And
a good friend of mine got 10 days on that. My buddy James Ciccone.
Oh wow.
Real good actor. He got 10 days.
Was he one of the clowns that worked with him or no?
No, he played in the band. They only showed him for, he wasn't on screen very long, but he booked 10 days on it. And he was in the whole scene with De Niro and Phoenix. He played the Robert De Niro's character, one of the guys in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Tonight Show kind of guy, the
Tonight Show, one of the band members.
Got it.
He read for Doc, the Doc Severinsen role. The guy that is that his name for Johnny Carson?
Yeah, the band leader. Yeah, Doc
right.
Severinsen.
That type of guy. He read for that. The director loved him, but he just wasn't quite right for it. So they loved him though. It was just like my case in We Own the Night.
Mm-hmm.
They liked me, and they gave me a smaller role. They did the same thing with James, but he got 10 days on it. Yeah. He made good money, too.
Nice. Let's talk about The Irishman, man, because that's a big movie. Some people loved it. Some people hated it because it was so long. But you got to work with some heavy hitters. You got to work with Martin Scorsese. What was that like?
Well, first of all, working with Martin Scorsese, that's what I mean by I'm in that movie for if you blink and cough, you're going to miss me, okay? But I was on that set for 3 days on that scene. And in our business, you could have a great scene with an actor, and for some reason they cut it. Most of the time it's because of time constraints, or they didn't really need that scene. But I got to be on set with Joe Pesci and Martin Scorsese. So I walk on the set. I'm very excited. It was in New York, not the city, outside of New York. And it was in the curtain shop scene, where Joe Pesci's character owns a curtain shop. And I walk on set, I'm ready to go. I got my everything's great. I'm looking around. All of a sudden, Scorsese walks on set. He knew every actor's name, never met them, but knew everybody who they were. Hey, Joey, how you doing? Hey, Bill, how you doing? Hey, Jack, how you doing? Comes up to me. Hey, Massimo, what's up? I go, Massimo? Massimo? Hey, Massimo, hey, how you doing? And after about maybe 20, 25 minutes, he keeps calling me Massimo. I had the gall, Raymond, to correct the master. I said, Mr. Scorsese, call me Marty. I says, it's Massimino. Massimino. He goes, oh, Massimino. So that means big little.
In Italian.
In Italian. I didn't even think about it. I go, yeah. I didn't even know that, believe it or not. So I go, oh, yeah, that's exactly. I acted like I knew it, Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it means.
And that's his method for remembering names, probably.
It's the man is where he is for a reason. I'm telling you, he's a master filmmaker. And then the I didn't get to meet De Niro or Pacino, but what's the next best thing, if not equal?
Right.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci comes on set.
Yeah.
And what does he say to me? Take a guess.
Forget about it.
First thing he says to me on set.
Who are you?
Hey, Massey, how are you? Never met him in my life. Calls me Massey. Just like that. These guys do their homework. They want to know who they're working with.
Yeah, he did know you. He already had a nickname for you.
So I'm on the set, and I'm talking to Joe in between takes, and he's telling me stories, and we're cracking up. And he's like, he didn't want to do it. He's retired, but he did it. And I think out of all the performances in that film, and I got my issues with it. I thought it was a good film, but, we could all nitpick at it. The characters look too old. The CGI wasn't great. Who knows? A lot of people have different interpretations, but I thought Joe Pesci's performance was impeccable. Yeah. Because he wasn't what everybody thought he was going to be. Everybody thought he was going to be the, hey, Mom, yeah.
He wasn't. No, yeah.
It wasn't that. Because Al Pacino can be so big in his performance, Joe Pesci I sit and talk with him every day. I watched an interview with him, and he's like, well, what can I do? So he did the exact opposite, and it paid off. He got an Oscar nod for it, which I think he should have won because I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was. He was amazing. COVID, let's talk a little bit about how you've adapted because, Broadway is still shut down.
Right.
You mentioned that, everything's changed for you, like just how you submit, you can't go and do these reads. What's that been like? And how,
you see the background right now? Right. This is what I do. Like where I'm talking to you right now, this is where I do my auditions in my basement. And I send them out. I have to do one after this. I'm doing one after this. They're called self-tape auditions. And this is how the business is right now.
Yeah. And do you think this will remain, or is it just going to go back to what would you have done normally, like drive into the city or take the train in?
I drive into the city. I was in the city 4 or 5 times a week going on auditions. I worked at a place called Actors Connection, where I worked with casting directors, and I would be a reader for their classes. And I was involved in a group to help new actors that came in. I met a lot of new actors to give them advice and things like that. And it was great. I was interacting with people. That's the difference now. Now I'm home. I'm in Connecticut. And you don't have that interaction with other people that are doing the same thing you're doing. I can't go in and take a class. I can't go in. We could do it on Zoom, but I'm not fond of Zoom classes. Yeah. It's just because it's just not the same. I need to work with another actor, but I got to stay sharp at the same time. Yeah. So the difference now is I'm not going into the city. I'm doing it from here. I haven't booked a job yet, but it's only my second one, audition online. And basically, you do your best. The good thing about it is you can do as many as you want until it's right. Yeah. The casting room, you only get 2-3 takes.
Yeah. Now, what about TV commercials? Have you done? You mentioned those briefly. Have you done those, or is that? Because sometimes you see these famous quote unquote actors doing TV commercials, and you wonder, are they just getting extra money, or what the deal is?
They're getting a ton of money. Yeah, if you're getting a name for a commercial, they're getting a ton of money. You see Snoop Dogg, his new Corona commercial. You see the Snoop Dogg?
No, I saw him do one on social for this Lord. You buy some land in Scotland and you can be called yourself Lord or something.
They pay him a ton of money to do these things. But I did commercials in the beginning of my career, and then the writer's strike happened and SAG went on strike. Everybody went on strike. So all these companies started using, say your Peralta Design wants to do a commercial. Oh, well, SAG's on strike. Now you gotta hire non-union actors. And when they figured out that they could hire non-union actors and not pay them as much and just give them a buyout, they continued on with that. So there's a lot less for SAG actors and a lot more for non-union actors, and they're trying to change that, but I don't think it's going to change.
And for those that don't know, SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and
yes,
and you have to have a speaking line in order to get a SAG card, or something.
Yeah. Basically, you got to get a speaking role in a TV show, a commercial, or I think you got to get. When I was doing it, you had to get 2 or 3 speaking roles. Okay, I got my SAG card. I got notice on the set of We Own the Night. The SAG representative came up to me and said, "Congratulations, you're in SAG." So and Robert Duvall was right next to me. He's like, "Hey, congratulations, kid!" You know, Robert Duvall, one of the greatest actors of all time.
Is this the one where like it was a father and son police family?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It is.
And Joaquin was the black sheep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Eva Mendes, I loved her in The Place Beyond the Pines. That's one of my favorite movies.
Fantastic movie. Love that movie.
Excellent.
I worked with the director's wife, Shannon Plum, on an independent film. Derek Chiafrance, I think that's his name. That's who directed that. And he just did a thing on HBO with Mark Ruffalo where he plays twins. And he was the director of that film. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Great movie. And Bradley Cooper. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say Bradley Cooper, I saw him play Elephant Man without any, on Broadway without any makeup or anything. That was quite
How was it?
It was interesting. My kids got a little, bored, but I enjoyed it. The best part about it was that afterwards, we waited for him. My son was a big fan, and we waited for him to come out of the side, and he was, doing his autographs, and I had a moment, like everybody was asking him for autographs, and I had a moment where I just yelled out to him like, "Great job," or "You did a great job," and it just froze him in his tracks, and he looked right at me, right in my eyes for like a split second, because everybody was just like asking of him, and I just complimented him, and I think I caught him off guard for a second, but he really did do a great job.
I heard it was good. I wanted to see it. I couldn't see it. But I'm so happy I saw all the plays. Like I would go into the city. I would go on an audition. Then I'd have a class at night. So in between, I'd go find like a cheap Broadway ticket, and I'd go see plays. I saw a bunch of great plays in the last decade. And I'm so happy I was able to do it. I'm very grateful for that because, we don't know when we're going to be able to go back in and see another play. Yeah, it could be at the end of next year.
Correct.
We don't know when things are going to be back to normal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's broad. I feel terrible for Broadway actors, people who just do Broadway and theater. There's a lot of people that rely on Broadway and theater that don't do a lot of television. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got a great friend of mine, Mike Boland. I think you know Mike. You know Mike Boland? Mike Boland's from Fairfield, and he paints for a living, but he's a great actor, and he does a lot of plays. He does a ton of plays, and he's just not working right now because it's not happening.
Just think of all the set designers and stage hands and
everybody from everybody. It's just it's horrible. But Raymond, I think we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
We've all been affected by this. The last TV show I did was in March. It was called God Friended Me, and I was just getting on a roll again. And another friend of mine was. He booked like 8 TV gigs, all network gigs, really good gigs. And, he was on a roll. And then it just stopped. Everybody, this affects everybody. We're all on common ground right now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I agree with you. We will get through this. And there's new opportunities, I think, that we can find in all of this. Let's talk a little bit about branding and personal branding as an actor. So for you, how do you manage your personal brand?
Well, there's an internet movie database, which is great because I have a reel. I have 2 reels. I have a comedy reel and I have another reel. They're both an acting reel, which shows little snippets of TV shows that I've done. Okay. They're all available on IMDb. And if you're a casting director, a lot of them go to IMDb. And, you got to have the basics. You got to have your headshots up there. You got to have your reel up there. And it has your resume. It's got everything you've done. So, that's my calling card. My headshot, my resume, and my reel, basically. I don't have a website. I want to work on a website.
I know a guy.
I know you do. I think we talked about that when I came to visit you. Yeah. And we'll talk about that because I think it's important. But as long as like I've been doing it a while now. A lot of the casting directors in New York City know who I am, or they know of me. So if they think of something and they see me, they'll be like, "Yeah, Mike's perfect for this," and they'll call me in, and I have to audition for it. I got to read for it, But my brand, I got to constantly put myself out there. You know, like when I was in the city, I had to constantly get myself in front of casting directors. And that's becoming a reader for them, getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your reputation is everything in that business. If you're difficult, if you're not a nice guy, people, that's going to hurt you.
Right.
You know, you got to have a good reputation. And I think my reputation is very, you know, is really, really good with these people, you know, and I get along with all of them. And they're just people.
Right.
You know, they're just people.
Right. And that's something that Jeff Bezos is famous for saying, that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what you're speaking about.
Raymond, they want people that can go on set and not stare at Robert De Niro like a friggin', you know, stalker. You know what I mean? And go like he's going to get a glass of water, you go get a glass of water. He sits down, people. You know, you got to remember, these movie stars, they're movie stars, but they're human people. They're human beings.
Yeah.
When I was younger, they were everything to me. I didn't, you know, I wasn't, you know, but as soon as I got into the reality of the business, they're just like you and I.
Mm.
You know, they're just doing their thing, man.
And
they got wives, they got kids.
Is that how they like to be treated? Like if you ran into a celebrity, you know, in a restaurant, I think I remember going into Finn in Fairfield, and I think it was Justin Long from Dodgeball was in there.
He's a Fairfield native.
Yeah, and he just kind of gave me a look like we made eye contact, and I recognized him, but he looked like he was with his family, and he just kind of gave me a look like, "What are you going to do?" kind of a thing, and I just kind of nodded and kept it moving. Do you find that they're receptive to fans, or do they want to just be treated like normal people? Or is that a price to pay for being a celebrity?
It is, yeah, but you're also, that's what you signed up for.
Right.
So you can't get upset when people come up to you and say, hey, I mean, let's face it, they love it. When somebody recognizes me, which is very rare, but I'll give you an example. I played on a show called Neon Joe Werewolf Hunter. I played a guy, his name was Brooklyn Bobby, okay? That was my name. Mm-hmm. And I was on the first episode, and Brooklyn Bobby said, you know, his thing is like, yeah, I get it about it. I get it about it. I get it about it. Yeah, I get it about it. That's all he said. Like everything was about it. Yeah, I know about it. I get it about it. Forget about it. Funny character. If you ever get a chance.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, Neon Joe Werewolf Hunter, written by the fantastic, hysterical John Glazer, who hired me a couple times. And it's a great show, and it's got a cult following. It's like a comic book. Mm. And Brooklyn Bobby, I get killed in the first episode, so there's my spoiler, but what are you going to do? I yelled at you for that in the beginning, but but I'm only in one episode, and it's on my reel. My death is on my reel, so you have to watch my reel, and you'll see it. It's the last scene on my reel. And I'm coming out of Actors Connection in New York on West 44th and 9th. I'm walking out the door, and this kid comes up to me. He goes, Brooklyn Bobby! And I said, what, is somebody putting you up to this? I go, what do you think? And he recognized me as Brooklyn Bobby, wanted to take a picture with me. And I was so happy to take the picture with the guy. And you know what? I put a smile on somebody's face that day. But he put a smile on my face. I was like, holy shit. That's the first time I was ever, can I say that?
Yeah.
But I was the first time I got recognized ever. And one of the only times, really. Some people recognize me as Officer Peluso from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But that was the first time it happened, and I loved it. So these guys love it, but they hate it at the same time. But it's what you sign up for if you're going to be a famous actor.
That's right. That's right.
And you should be grateful. Be grateful. Absolutely. Now, if you're with your kids and your family, you know, it's a different story. People should know their boundaries.
Yeah.
Some actors are approachable, but you're an intelligent guy. You would know if it's okay to go up to one of them. You know when it's okay and when it's not. Some people don't.
Right,
Some people they don't care.
Yeah, or they don't pick up on the nonverbal cues or what have you. But
no.
Good stuff, man. What's cooking for you? Like I want you to share, you know, anything that we can look out for you in, and how people can find you. You mentioned IMDb, but you also mentioned that there is another Mike Massimino. So tell us.
Right. So if you Google my name, Mike Massimino, there will be another Mike Massimino who comes up who is an astronaut. So that ain't me. Absolutely.
You got a funny story about that, though.
Yes.
Let's end on that.
Yeah. So I get a phone call one day. I'm in my car and I'm driving, and the woman says, "Are you Mike Massimino?" I go, "Yeah. Hi, how are you?" She goes, "We represent Michael Massimino." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Which Michael Massimino?" She goes, "The astronaut." And I said, first thing I said was, "All right, is this a joke? Who is this?"
Right.
You know what I mean? I thought it was somebody playing a joke. She's like, "No, it's not a joke." The domain name, MikeMassimino.com. So I said, and she said, "You own it." I go, "Yes, I do." She goes, "Are you using it?" I said, not at the moment. I'm not using it." So to make a long story short, she says, "Can we have it?" I said, "Sure." I said, "I want 10 grand for it." And she started laughing. She's like, "Oh, well, we can't give you that much for it." I said, "No, I'm only kidding." I said, "Listen, I'll be happy to give it to you. Just give me what I paid for it to keep it and to buy it, because I had to pay for it." And they were more than, happy to do that. And I said, "Listen, I want to meet Mike Massimino, the astronaut. So what can we do?" She goes, "Well, Mike can give you a tour in New York City on the Intrepid." I said, "That would be fantastic." But that didn't happen until about 2 years later because of scheduling and all kinds of stuff. But he kept his word. They got in touch with me, and we met him on the USS Intrepid in New York City. He gave us a tour. I took my sister, my nieces, my uncle, my aunt, my dad, and we had a great day. It was just a great day. And he's such a gracious guy, such a nice guy. And we also have another friend in common, which I didn't know, who is Chaz Palminteri. Okay.
Good fan. Yep.
So everybody knows who Chaz is. If you don't, shame on you.
Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale. So here's how that happened, that connection. I took Chaz's class, and Chaz says to me, "Hey, Mike." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "When I saw your name on here, I thought it was my friend, Mike Massimino, the astronaut." I said, "Oh, he's your friend?" He goes, "Yeah." I called him up. I said, "What are you doing taking my class?" I said, "No, it's me." We started laughing, and he turned out to be Chaz's friend. So it all connected.
Yeah.
It all connected. And when I met Mike, I was like, "Mike, you and I have a mutual friend." He's like, "Oh yeah, who's that?" He goes, "Chaz Palminteri." He goes, "Oh yeah." And it was just pretty funny how that all happened. And, and by taking Chaz's class, it opened up a lot of opportunities for me, because, you have time, I can tell you the Chaz story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
So I took Chaz's class, and first of all, I couldn't believe he was even teaching a class. That's how gracious he is. He's so open to help other actors. He believes in paying it forward, as do I, and as I know you do as well. Absolutely. Just by seeing your posts and, all the things that you do. And I'm a big, I'll praise you in a minute, because you really are an inspiration to me and a lot of other people.
Thank you.
But Chaz, I'm walking down my driveway just to go get the papers, and I get a phone call, and I go, "Hello," and she goes, "Hi, Mike Massimino." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "I have Chaz Palminteri on the phone." There's another one of those moments where I'm like, all right, who's messing with me? You know what I mean? But now because I took his class and I knew him, I know his voice, and I know it was really him. He goes, "Hey, Michael, how are you?" I go, "Oh, I'm great. How are you, sir?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Listen, I'm doing a show." He downplays everything. Yeah. Doing a pilot, doing this thing out we're going to shoot it in LA. And it's called Unorganized Crime. and I want I want you to be in it with me. And I was like, like when you walk outside, it's freezing cold out, and like you just feel that, that bitter air, and you just freeze. Like my whole body just froze like that. I was like, holy crap. I was like, wow, am I dreaming? There was nobody there to share it with. So I pinched myself. I'm like, am I dreaming right now? And I go, yeah, let me check my schedule. Right? And he starts laughing. I go, of course I'm available. I would love to do it. And he goes, all right, great. I'm going to call you with the details. And, you're going to be one of my right-hand men. And another guy, Al Cicelli, he's a good friend of mine. He was in the Bronx Tale. He's going to be your partner. Like, you two are going to be my guys. So if the show goes, you two are going to be my guys. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe this is what I'm hearing. Okay. I said, fantastic. I would love to. And I got out of freeze mode, right? My body, I was able to move. That's how it to me. I was unbelievably shocked that this guy called me personally to ask me to go do this. And I went out there, and I got to tell you, Raymond, I had the time of my life. Yeah. And that's where I got really good experience, working with these guys. We're out there for a week. Now, the show didn't do anything. It didn't happen. It was directed by Nick Vallelonga, who did the movie The Green Book, before, this was 5 years ago. And, and I worked with him, and, he directed it. And a guy named Kenny DeQuilla wrote it. He wrote it. And he's good friends with Chaz. And I got to tell you, it was just a fantastic experience. And it's something I'll never forget. And when I say, if by my standards, I've made it in this business, just because my name's not above a title and, I'm not rich and famous from it, by my standards, I've made it in this business for those little victories, working with Chaz, working with Martin Scorsese, working with Jim Carrey, as small as the roles can be. Some of them were okay. A lot of them were smaller roles, but I got on set. I worked with these people. I interacted with them. I made them laugh. Till this day, I'm friends with Chaz. Yeah. I may be seeing him Tuesday, but till this day, we're acquaintances and friends. And he's a great guy, and he's a mentor.
Absolutely. You've they say, if you look at you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with, and I think you could say the same for the 5 people you work with, and you've worked with some really powerful, talented people in the industry in a very short amount of time. You got in the right circles, it sounds like. So that's a testament to your grind.
And I was persistent, right? And I got knocked down. They knocked me down. They ran me over. I got stepped on. I've been embarrassed. I forgot my lines on set. I did everything because I was green. I made all the mistakes you can make, and I still make mistakes. But I got to where I am right now from making those mistakes. Being embarrassed on set from forgetting your lines, like it happened to me one time. And I didn't forgive myself for weeks because but I didn't know, in the business, it happens all the time.
Right.
But it was one of these things where I was in 3 or 4 scenes. I had more lines than I usually get. They were giving me new lines because when you're on set, sometimes they give you new lines. You got to get it right there and then.
Right.
So I was screwing it up. They knew I was new, and I was the one who was hard on myself, not them. Even the director came up to me, and he was like, hey, don't worry about it. We got it. Calm down. You'll be all right. I was so upset with myself. But that's called getting seasoned, and I was getting seasoned. And that didn't stop me. I kept going. I've screwed up in auditions that were completely embarrassing. Forgot all my lines. Did a terrible audition and said to the casting director, sorry, guys, wasn't my day, And they call me back. I always think they're never going to call me back. There's a lot of self-doubt. And you got to constantly work on yourself. Sometimes my self-esteem isn't always what it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes we are too hard on ourselves, right? So we have to constantly move forward. No matter what happens, you have to constantly move forward. Yeah. I believe that, Yeah. And you got to hang around good people. You got to have good people in your circle. All negative people have to be gone. all toxic people have to be eliminated from your life. It's not a question, okay? Toxic people, negative people, people who want to see you fail, and there's a lot of them out there, even your friends, you know what I mean? As much as people, you know, as harsh as that sounds, it's a reality. People want to see you fail, okay? And you have to get through all that. You want to be around people. You want people around you who are going to build you up and be supportive and tell you, not be afraid to tell you, hey, listen, you know, you sucked. You know what I mean? Try it again. Yeah. And you have to be able to take that in, and your ego has to be left at the door. You know, you have to leave your ego at the door, and you have to be open to self, you know, constructive criticism. All these things play a big part in an actor's life. And I think that in any professional's life,
right.
You know, I'm sure you can, you know, relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of our listeners will get so much out of what you just shared. I felt like throughout the whole interview, I think that was the most vulnerable spot. And I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. For me personally, self-doubt and fear. I take it back to what you said in the beginning. You said, I wasn't doing what I was put on this earth to do, and I decided to start my career as an actor. And I think that's what I do is when I get afraid, or I you know, because it happens to me, just like you described, the self-doubt, we're harder on ourselves, and you're supposed to be hard on yourself and easy on others. But I think when you're a creative, you know, you're in the idea business. I think you and I can share that. I go back to saying, this is what's preordained for me to be doing. This is what I'm destined to do. This is what I was put here to do. And when I get those thoughts back in my head, then the fear goes away.
The fear goes away. Look at the wall behind you, everybody. If you could see Raymond, just look at the wall. Look at the achievements, right?
Thank you.
But there were failures on the way to that.
Absolutely.
Okay? You had to fail to achieve what you've achieved. And you've really achieved a lot. And you share it. I see it. You know, telling kids to go to coding school. Now, you and I haven't hung out in many, many years. I've known you for many years now because we traveled in the same circles.
Right.
But this is the power of Instagram and the power of social media. You were putting up the most positive posts in everything you do and everything you achieve. And, you know, I was like, I like what this guy is putting out there. Yeah. And you've inspired me. Like, even like if I would see one of your posts and I would be like, you know what, I'm going to go kick ass on this audition, you know, because of Raymond. Raymond's got some serious positive vibes going up there. I mean, you know, what you were able to do to build your business, and you could see how humble you are. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you put up your videos of talking about, you know, you did one about colors and branding, and you see, I watch you, Raymond. I know what you're doing. You got to pay attention.
Do you think I have a future as an actor from what you see? I mean, can I try?
Absolutely. Sure. I'll get you a walk-on role on something.
Hey, let's do something together. Why not?
We might as well. I mean, we might as well make our own content up. But, I mean, what you have achieved with your business is phenomenal. It really is. You know, and you inspire people. And that's what's important. You're humble. You're humble. You worked hard. I saw the pictures of the college when you were in college that you put up. And you said, when I was in college and I was eating spaghetti every night and I couldn't afford pants or shoes and I had to borrow this. And that's so important for people to see. Yeah, okay? Absolutely. That is so important for people to see where you came from. And you're not ashamed of where you came from. And, I mean, come on. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's why we put out this content. We want to inspire others. We want to help others. We want to build a social brand. You know, I think we can all do our part to help the next generation, to inspire others, to help people, because none of us got here alone. And I know that you're helping others, and by having you on the show, hopefully somebody will go out and check out your IMDb. Tell us how they can find you. And I'm certainly going to go rewatch, these movies that we talked about here. The Neon Joe, I'm definitely going to look that one up.
Neon Joe.
Well, We Own the Night. I know I've seen it, but I'm going to get a refresher on it. I'm going to look for it.
I mean, I was on Boardwalk Empire. If you never watched that series, you should watch that. I was in the fifth season, fourth or fifth season, about 4 episodes. You'll see me running around as one of the Capone entourage members.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot on that. HBO. Worked with top people, great people, top of the line, top shelf actors. I learned so much. I was on that set for like 6 weeks in Steiner Studios in Brooklyn, and I learned so much. But, I failed, man. I failed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I failed at many, many things.
But you keep going, man. You keep trying. You don't give up, and you got a great attitude.
You can't give up, especially in the world we're living in today.
Yeah.
It's very easy to look at the news and say everything's going down the toilet. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's people. People, I believe most people are good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Amen.
And surround yourself with good people and put that out in the world. Put out the positivity, okay? And say 2 things to yourself if you're struggling at anything. This is what I did. You look in the mirror and you say, I can. Can't. Why me? Not me. Why can't I go? Of course I can go be an actor. I can do this.
Absolutely.
Many years I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could. I didn't think I was good enough. And it took a lot of work. And it took persistence. And it takes tenacity. You know what's the most important thing, Raymond?
Yeah.
It takes balls. It really does.
It really
might
does.
have to edit that out. But that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more honored that you asked me to do this. This is my 2nd interview ever. So
well, you did a great job. You did, man. I can't wait to share it with you. Tell our listeners one more time how they can find you.
Okay, so imdb.com, IMDb, Internet Movie Database. Just type in Mike Massimino, and the astronaut is Michael. I'm Mike. He's Michael. So click on me. It'll show you everything I've been in. It'll show you my work. And, that's how you find me.
That's it.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all that stuff. But if you want to see my stuff, just go to IMDb.
All right,
and you'll see everything I was on. And then you can get all the platforms. Go to Facebook. Go to I have a lot of small parts and a lot of shows that, it may not be worth it to go, watch the shows because you want to watch the show.
Yeah.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, if you haven't watched it, I'm in 3 episodes of that. It is fantastic. One of the greatest shows on television is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So check that out. And,
We'll do.
That's how you find me.
Hey, man, we're definitely going to have you back. There's so much more we could get into. I really appreciate all your insights, and I think you've inspired a lot of people, and I'm honored to and grateful to have you in my circle. So thanks for joining us. Once again, thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is Ramon Peralta from Peralta Design, and we launch brands.
Thank you for taking this journey with us. To learn more about Peralta Design and our work, go to www.peraltadesign.com and subscribe to keep up with the crew.